Most people think that the only way to escape their 9 to 5 is to take a huge risk, quit their job, and go all in. But that's not true. I built a $100,000 a month remote cleaning business while I was still working full time. Not because I worked harder, but because I figured out how to make the whole thing run like clockwork while I was clocked in somewhere else. In this video, I'll show you everything I did step by step to go from side hustle to scalable income to freedom. I'm John Margulies, founder of Happy Home Helpers, a 7-figure remote cleaning business, and Rags to Riches University, where I help people like you start a profitable cleaning business using nothing but a phone and laptop. I'm also a special consultant for Jobber, the leading software for home service businesses. I was featured several times on Jobber's podcast, and I was a keynote speaker at the 2025 Jobber Summit. And just so you're confident that you're getting expert advice from someone who really knows how to grow a cleaning business, here's my total revenue from last year in 2024. I'm filtering this report to show you January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. And you can see that I processed $1,330,668.45. And that's credit card payments alone. That doesn't include check or cash. And that's what's possible if you do exactly what I did. But before we get into it step by step, here's the hard truth. Just because this business can run without you doesn't mean you can be hands-off from day one. If you don't understand how the business works, you won't be able to train someone else how to run it for you. So here's what I did. Step number 1, I turned frustration into fuel. I hated working for someone else. Every day I woke up with anxiety, helping someone else build their dream instead of working towards mine. I wasn't broke, but I definitely wasn't free. I wanted to do something that mattered. I wanted to build something of my own. And I had one very specific goal: buy my wife the car of her dreams, a white Range Rover. That became my fuel. The thing I thought about during every boring Zoom meeting. The thing that made me take action after a 10-hour day. The thing that kept me moving when it would have been easier just to settle. And if you're feeling that same kind of frustration right now, if your job feels like a cage and your potential feels capped, don't ignore that. Harness it, channel it, turn that frustration into fuel. Because this business doesn't take special skills or a huge investment, but it does take desire. You have to want it badly enough to take action, even when it's inconvenient. And that's exactly what I did. Step number 2, I built an inbound lead machine that worked around my schedule. Once I made the decision to start this business, I had one big problem. I had no time. I couldn't answer phone calls during the day. I couldn't do in-person sales meetings. I couldn't just wing it. So I needed a way to get clients without being on call 24/7. That's when I built my first inbound customer acquisition funnel using Facebook ads. Now, before you roll your eyes, I'm not talking about dumping thousands of dollars into some complicated setup. This was simple, targeted, and designed to run only when I was available. Here's how I did it. I set my Facebook ads to run 1 hour before I started work, on my lunch break, and again for a few hours after I got home. This way, I was only getting leads when I could respond. But here's the best part. I didn't have to answer phone calls. The leads came through Facebook Messenger. And after I started to see that most people were asking the same questions like, can I get a quote? How many cleaners are coming? Do we have to be home? It gave me an opportunity to write down all my answers on a Google Doc. Then copy and paste them into chats to keep them moving fast. Now, to be clear, Facebook leads aren't perfect. They're not as ready to book as people actively searching on Google, but they're good enough. Good enough to get your first clients, good enough to generate cash flow, and good enough to learn the game. Because that was the real goal in the beginning. Not to scale, not to get rich, just to learn, to understand the conversation, to get inside the head of the customer, to figure out how the business actually works from the inside. This was the bridge between where I was and where I wanted to go. Step number 3, I did everything myself for 30 days. Once the leads started coming in, I had a new problem. Someone had to do the work, not the cleaning. I was never going to do that. But everything else, yeah, that was me. For the first 30 days, I wore every hat in the business: sales, customer service, job scheduling, and recruiting. I was replying to leads during my lunch breaks, I was scheduling jobs while sitting in traffic, and I was texting cleaners from the bathroom stall at work. I'm not joking. I wasn't sleeping much. My mind was constantly bouncing between my job and my business, but I kept telling myself one thing: one day at a time. Because here's the truth no one wants to talk about. Before you can outsource anything, you need to understand everything. I needed to feel the pressure of a customer complaint. I needed to learn how to price quotes fast. I needed to figure out quality control. And I needed to learn how to find experienced cleaners. This phase, doing it all myself, it wasn't scalable, but it was necessary, and it was intentional. Because without it, I never would have been able to build systems, or train my team, or to make decisions that weren't just guesses. I used Jobber to schedule, take notes, track payments, and manage everything in one place. I kept internal communication with my cleaners tight using Slack. And I kept a running doc of every mistake, every fire I had to put out, every client request that caught me off guard. Because I wasn't just working in the business, I was studying it. And once I had it dialed in, once I saw the patterns, I was ready to stop being the bottleneck. Step number 4, I built a funnel to find great cleaners. I could book all the clients I wanted, but none of it mattered if I didn't have reliable cleaners to actually do the jobs. And let me tell you, finding cleaners is way harder than you think. Some wouldn't show up, some ghosted after one job, some were great cleaners but couldn't follow directions. And that's when I realized if I didn't build a system to recruit great cleaners, the business would collapse. So I created an inbound recruiting funnel, the same way I created one for clients. Here's how I set it up. I posted the job opportunity on Indeed.com, and I created an application that asked all the right questions about experience, availability, transportation, cleaning supplies, and joy, which I'll get back to in a second. I made a short video explaining the job and the kind of person I was looking for. Now let me go back to that joy part that I was just talking about before I continue. You have to ask candidates if they actually like to clean, because if they don't genuinely enjoy it and find it therapeutic, they won't last. So I take that questionnaire and then I link the application in the job ad and let the funnel filter out the bad candidates. Then I created a cleaner onboarding standard operating procedure, step-by-step instructions on what to bring to every job, how to communicate with me for assistance, how to upload before and after photos, and what to do if something goes wrong on site. And here's what I learned. Most people just hope they'll find a good cleaner, but I engineered a system to attract and qualify them on autopilot. And that system became my safety net. So now when I book jobs, I know I've got a bench of pros who can handle them. No scrambling, no panicking, no praying someone picks up the phone. It's just a process. And that gave me the confidence to do something big. Step number 5. I figured out how to run the business entirely from my phone and laptop. And once I had leads coming in and cleaners lined up, the next bottleneck was me. I was still the one connecting the dots. Customer messages, cleaner schedules, last-minute changes, everything ran through me. And that's when I realized I wasn't building a business. I was just building a more stressful job. So I took a step back and I asked myself, what would this look like if it ran without me? That's when I got serious about systems. So I did some research and I discovered these 7 essential apps I use to stay organized and run the business, even while I'm working a full-time job. The first one is Jobber, my command center. It handles scheduling, quotes, payments, client notes, and cleaner assignments. Number 2 is Slack, a messaging app for teams that keeps all your internal communication organized in one place, so you're not buried in texts or group chats. This is how I communicate with my cleaners. No missed messages, just clean, organized communication. The third one is OpenPhone, and this is a game changer. It turned my cell phone into a business phone with a separate line. And as you grow and you hire help, your team can access a shared number. So when a client calls or texts, someone always answers, even if you're at work, even if you're asleep. The fourth one is Google Workspace. Professional email, shared docs, and drive folders for job pictures. Everything organized and accessible from anywhere. And the fifth one is Gusto. Easy payroll for both your cleaners and your admin team. It's fully remote and fully automated. Number 6 is CallRail. It tracks every call. It shows you where leads are coming from and lets you know which ads are actually converting. No more guessing where your money's going. Number 7 is Duda, or you can use Wix. I use Duda to build my website, but use whatever helps you go live fast. Just make sure your site loads fast, has a clear call to action, and make it easy to request a quote. When these tools are set up and connected, your business becomes fully remote, fully manageable, and fully scalable. No more chasing cleaners, no more waking up to fires, just dashboards, notifications, and peace of mind. This is the exact setup that gave me space to breathe, and it's what made the next move even possible. Step number 6, I hired someone to run the day-to-day. By this point, I had leads coming in, cleaners ready to go, and the tools were in place, but I was still the one gluing it all together. And I knew if I didn't get out of the way soon, I'd burn out. So I made the move that changed everything. I hired a full-time virtual assistant to run the business. And now, when I say virtual assistant, I'm not talking about someone who just answers emails. This person became the heartbeat of the business. They handled new lead inquiries, they booked jobs, assigned cleaners, and confirmed appointments. They even fielded customer questions and uploaded the notes and photos. Basically everything I was doing. She took over. But here's the thing, you just can't hire anyone for this role. You need somebody who speaks fluent, clear English with a neutral or charming accent. This person's got to be able to work fast and think on their feet with amazing attention to detail. And here's an important tip. If you want them to treat your business like it matters, you have to hire them full-time. Part-time VAs juggle multiple jobs. They never fully understand your business, your staff, or your customers. Full-time is what creates real ownership and accountability. I trained mine using Slack, Jobber, and Google Docs with clear standard operating procedures. And once they were fully onboarded, I was finally out. No more scheduling chaos, no more customer calls at 6 p.m., No more bouncing between conversations like I was trying to finish my own workday. I could finally breathe, focus on the big picture, and start building something that truly ran without me. But just as things were finally clicking, life threw a curveball I never saw coming. I ended up in the hospital, multiple surgeries, weeks of recovery. Most days, I couldn't even sit up straight, let alone run a business. And yet, the business didn't stop. My virtual assistant kept the wheels turning. Clients were getting quotes, jobs were getting booked, cleaners were showing up. All while I was hooked up to IVs with tubes coming out of my nose and hourly painkiller doses. I was literally running the business from a hospital bed. I was checking Slack messages between doctor visits, and I was dialed in from my phone and laptop. And that's when it really hit me emotionally. If I'd still been the one doing everything, the business would have died the moment I got admitted. But because I'd built the right systems, with the right people in place, it kept going. And at that very moment, I truly understand what I had built. Not just a side hustle, a machine. Step number 7. Once my virtual assistant was running the show, everything changed. Customers were getting booked, cleaners were getting assigned, payments were coming in. All without me touching a thing. I became an invisible CEO. And that doesn't mean I stopped caring. It means I stopped babysitting. I went from reacting to everything to monitoring everything. Instead of spending hours texting clients and solving last-minute problems, I was logging in for 10 minutes to see if we were making money and keeping customers happy. Jobber gave me a full dashboard view. How many jobs we booked, how many cleaners were assigned, who paid, who canceled, what the total revenue was that day, week, or month, and Slack showed me conversations between my admin and the cleaners. OpenPhone let me see every client text in real time. Google Drive gave me access to the before and after photos my cleaners were uploading for each job so I could stay on top of quality control. I did it. I built a business that worked, without me working inside of it. I wasn't taking calls on my lunch break anymore. I wasn't sprinting to solve problems after hours. I wasn't doing any of the daily operations. I was just watching the machine run. And I knew that I didn't need my 9 to 5 anymore. I bought that Range Rover. I'll never forget the look on my wife's face when I surprised her. That was the moment it felt real. Congrats. Your new car.
What?
Yeah. Hi. You got your dream car. Here she is. A brand new, fully loaded Range Rover. And that was the moment it felt real. Not just the money, not just the freedom, but the fact that I built this from scratch while working full time. And listen, if you've been watching this thinking, could I actually do this too? The answer is yes. If you follow the steps, if you build the systems, if you stay consistent, you can absolutely do this. If you want the detailed training I used to build this business step by step, with all the ads, scripts, systems, and shortcuts, go to johnmargulies.com and I'll show you how to start your own remote cleaning business the same way I did, without quitting your job. I built my freedom. Now it's your turn.